those of us who have gotten to the $1 million mark, the requirement is to take other people with us.
Come on. And it doesn't mean on your back. It's forging a path. It means I've got the machete in my hand and the heavy lifting has already been done.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is follow. I'm excited about this conversation. So all month long, I'm just going to be on y'all timeline with shenanigans. We're going to have conversations with me and my friends about my behind the scenes journey in my business, because I know a lot of people have a desire to make it to millions. And so we're calling this series, or my birthday bash, Unlocking the Code to Millions. But people who get to this level don't usually share the real deal behind the scenes. And so I don't want to be that person, because if it wasn't for somebody who was the example for me or that was willing to bring me in, I would not know. So we're not going to keep the information behind closed doors. I'm going to share with you guys everything that's happening and what I'm learning on this journey. So a couple of things. I have a friend with me today. I'm going to introduce her in a second. And you guys are going to love her if you don't already know her. She probably already got fangirls and fan guys on the page already. But I want to invite you, I want to do a thing. So there's one thing, what I believe is like unlocking millions in your life and in your business isn't just about strategy and knowing what to do and who you know and all of those things. There's levels to this thing. There's levels in our internal growth. There's codes. There's things that you want to have as foundational principles in the way that you live that up-level who you be in the world, the frequency in which you operate on, that allows you to have the capacity to even receive at that level. And one of those things is giving. And so I want to give for my birthday. I want to give from my own abundance and overflow, because the life that I live right now is like barely recognizable to where I used to be. And so I've done a thing, and I would like to invite you on this journey with me as well. I want to do some fundraising. So I have an incredible organization that does really great work here locally where I live. They're called Knock Knock Angels. And they do a lot of like finding homes and redecorating homes of women who are getting out of domestic violence situations and veterans who have been displaced. And it's just beautiful to watch the work that they do. But they're a nonprofit organization that is run fully on donations. And so I want to use this month to raise money for them. And the goal is $10,000. So here's what I'm doing. We've put together what I call my birthday bundle. There's lots of gifts in there. I'm not going to go through them all. I will tell you that I'm giving not one, but 2 courses. And so there's 2 ways that you can activate this. I'm going to tell my age. I'm turning 48. Yeah. So the only thing that you need to do, the minimum amount that you will partner with us for the donation, is $48 to get access to all 7 of the gifts plus mine. That's all I'm asking. To partner with me and activate the law of giving and receiving in your own life. Now, if you want to be a true gangster partner, I don't even know nothing about being a gangster, but if that's going to be you, if you donate a minimum of $222, I will also add my fast cash formula training, which shows you how to create a cash infusion in your business in 7 days or less, a 6-figure cash infusion in your business in 7 days or less. So that's my gift to you for partnering with me on this journey. All right, so let's get into this. There's a link above the video. I'll probably put one in chat. That's how you get access. We're going to be doing this all month long. So whenever you're ready, get in where you fit in. Darnyelle.
Okay, before we even introduce myself, can I just say I'm feeling away, because I didn't know if I did $222. So I did $100 yesterday. I'm about to go do another $122. I won all the bonuses.
I just made that up last night. I laid down.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, I didn't say nothing about that.
Well, this is how I roll. If you know anything about human design, I'm a manifesting generator. And so a lot of people use that manifesting generator energy, which is very creative and just responding to things that show up in the atmosphere, to create programs. I'm usually like adding stuff and just moving things. So my team knows I'll move in a minute. So I woke up this morning and I was like, ooh, I want to do this. Because we just did that training last week, and so many people are like, I want the recordings. I want the recordings. I'm like, here's how you do it. Make a donation, $222. You get that.
Nice. I love it. I'm a generator. So, yeah. I am
So similar.
yeah, similar. Definitely.
All right. So let's tell people who you are. I'm going to let you do it. And then I want to talk about.
Okay, awesome. So I am Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. Some people call me Dr. Darnyelle. I am a God girl, first and foremost. That's probably the most important thing I want you to know about me. I do believe that you don't have to choose. You can love God and make millions. And so my body of work exists on this planet to help six-figure service-based entrepreneurs make, move, and leave millions with grace and ease instead of hustle and grind. And so all of our work is around that paradigm because I don't like the statistics. The American Express woman-owned business report said in 2019 that the average Black woman-owned business makes $24,000 in a year. Yeah, that burns my biscuits. I'm not okay with it. And 0.5% of Black women actually make $1 million a year. I exist to change those statistics. In my Move to Millions mastermind, last year we had 50 women who did 24,000 in a day, in an hour, in a second. Like, we got to continue to change and normalize access to wealth and abundance because it is our birthright. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. I don't love the fact that we only get 0.5%, but I love what you're about. We have similar visions, journeys, pathways, and I'm glad that we finally got a chance to meet. So we met on Clubhouse maybe 2 years ago. Recent. I was only on Clubhouse twice. And one of those times I got to encourage you. I got to encounter you and a conversation that we were having about making millions in your business or something like that, which I loved. And then I walk into Inc. 5000 last year and we crossed paths.
Yes.
And we were able to connect and talk. And I have been in love with you ever since.
Oh, I love you too. I'm so glad I decided to go to Inc. 5000 at the last minute. I was like, because I wasn't going to go, and I will probably never go again. Program together Inc. 5000 if you want me to come back. But I'm glad I went for that, to actually be able to make a real connection that is now my sister friend. Like, that we can talk on the phone and I can tell you what I need and you can tell me what you need, and we can just create this space together and do the same work and edify and support each other as we do it. Like, that, it just means the world to me.
I love it. So I want to bring this up and we can talk about it and give instructions later. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you today, because I want to talk about making millions. I want to talk about it from two positions. I want to talk about it from the position of being a chocolate girl. And I want to talk about it really from the position of being a God girl. But what I want to bring up right now is you have an event and it's this month.
I do.
And so I just want, because people are here and listening right now, and I don't want to wait to the end, but we'll give you instructions on how you can get access again at the end. And I know there's a lot of things we're asking you to do. I'm asking you to donate, but I really want you to know, like, if you're in the area, you can jump on a plane and get there. You want to be in the room. And so can you just share with them what your Move to Millions event is about?
Absolutely. So Move to Millions Live, I purposely wore this shirt today because I knew we were going to have our little conversation. It's the only 3-day experience you need if you are a millions-minded entrepreneur. If you desire to learn what you don't know, because, and I know we're going to get into this as a part of our conversation, most businesses that get to that $250,000, $300,000 mark and continue to sputter and spin at that level, the struggle isn't your strategy. The struggle is shifting your mindset and streamlining. To get to the next level, you actually have to do less and not more. And so over 3 days, we're going to be walking our hundreds of attendees through the principles, the assets, and the legacies of making, moving, and leaving millions. Because again, I think that millions are your birthright, and to access them, you need only move. It's about movement, getting in the direction. First, going through the process of preparing, then planning, because you can't make the move unless you make the plan, and then actually positioning, and then ultimately profiting at that $1 million mark. And so a series of experiential, highly spiritual environments that will get you out of your own way, dismantle those limiting beliefs, shift the unworthiness and unforgiveness that sits in your heart and is messing with your money, and open up to the actual, I don't want to say strategies, but I'm going to say strategies because that's the word that popped in. What is actually going to move the needle for you? Because it's not what you think. It's not what you think. And so if you have millions on your mind and you want to do it in the next 1 to 3 years and you don't want to take forever, come spend 3 days in this dedicated vortex with me so we can crack that code, dismantle those beliefs, and set you on a trajectory to get your million sooner rather than later.
I love it. Where is it?
It's in Herndon, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., May 24th through the 26th. We have like 2 VIP seats left, I think. So that will bring you in on Tuesday, the 23rd. If you go to movetoMillionsEvent.com, movetoMillionsEvent.com, you can get all the details. Because you're here listening right now, if you go to movetoMillionsEvent.com/friend, because Shameca has some bring a friend tickets. So you could save $10 on your ticket to join us just because you know this amazing, fabulous woman that I get to be sitting here with today.
And I will be in the room. So if I'm bringing friends, we'll get to hang out together. Who knows?
Yes. You're going to be all up in and through the room.
Excited. So I want to share that. We'll come back and we'll share it again at the end too, but I wanted to share that with everybody. So I want to jump into this conversation. I know from hearing your story and talking to you that you crossed $1 million in your business a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then your business kind of imploded and you weren't able to do it again, but now you brought yourself back to this point. And I want to open the conversation here because I know there's a statistic and I don't remember, I can't source it right now or what the exact statistic is, but basically the majority of people who cross $1 million for the first time in their business do not repeat it.
Yeah, they don't
repeat it again. Yeah. And so I want to get into what happens when you hit this level, because there's so many who desire to do it. And there's those who desire to do it who haven't done it because they have all these things in their mind about what it's going to take, which I love that you hit on that. It doesn't take what you think it takes, right?
Yeah.
But I want to talk about what happened in that journey because I feel like I'm on that journey for myself right now. This is, I was telling you earlier, this will be my 4th year at $1 million. And I can see the space where I'm like, there's just a quick couple of decisions that could be made and I could implode on myself as well. And I'm like, I want to be thoroughly honest with you guys, like this walk, it's interesting and it's par for the course. And so can we just talk about your journey?
So I crossed the $1 million mark for the very first time in 2014. I had set the goal. Let me go back a little bit further. So I'm a former vice president from a Fortune 500 financial services company. I literally woke up one day and decided to quit my job with no plan. So I had started selling Mary Kay. I decided to sell Mary Kay full time. I got a pink Cadillac in 5 months. Offspring 500 sales directors of Mary Kay lingo. That's a big deal. And then I had a moment, I call it my Britney Spears moment, that oops, I did it again. And I realized that I had just traded one desk for another. So I decided to go all in on my business. I knew from the day I started Incredible One Enterprises that it was a multiple $1 million enterprise. But my knowing didn't catch up to the actual manifestation of it because I had a lot of work that I had to do. So finally, 2014, we crossed for the very first time. We do 1.8 million that year. 2015, 2.8 million. 2016, my business actually didn't implode. I hated it. I made a decision that they could have this damn $1 million company because I didn't love myself. I was a bitch. I was not happy. I was never going to get a man. There was no way. It was just never going to happen. Even though I was making that volume of money, it was all on me. I didn't have systems. I didn't have the right infrastructure. And I said, y'all can have this business. I was traveling. I lived out of a suitcase, Shameca. Like I was on the road every 4 weeks somewhere speaking to somebody about something. And I thought that was what I wanted. But then I realized as I'm starting to get older that I can have all the money in the world, but if I don't have somebody to keep me warm, then it wasn't worth it. And so I was willing to lose it all and to surrender and to get into alignment and to figure out what I wanted. So 2016, we went from 2.8 to about $800,000. So we lost $2 million in revenue between 16 and 17. Then 18, we went back up. And then by 2020, we were at the $1 million mark again, or just shy of it. And then 2021, we did 2 million. 2022, we did almost 4 million. So just so that you have the trajectory. And so for me, that 18 months where I hated my business, I needed to figure out how to get back there, but to get back there in a way with a business that served me and supported me so that I could truly live what I believe in, that I don't have to choose, that I could have it all. I just don't believe as a God girl that the fact that God talks about money, wealth, and possessions 2,300 times in the Bible, that I'm supposed to struggle and not have it. So having millions was never the question. I just needed to figure out how to do it in a way that served me, that allowed me to be who I am and become a better version of myself and not have to be all things in my business. And so the biggest difference between the first stint and the second stint, and this one is now longevity, is that I made a decision that I could figure out how to make this work and that I didn't have to follow anybody else's mandate or cues for how to do it. And I was also willing to shift everything. So number one, I stopped focusing on the money. I know that sounds crazy because I'm out here, move to millions, get your business to the $1 million mark. But I personally decided that I was going to stop setting revenue goals and I was going to start setting tithing goals. That's why I love the birthday bash. That's why I love that you're giving back and you're creating an environment to help an organization that is doing work that really shakes the planet. I have since started my own foundation, the Incredible One Foundation, but that was my impetus. And so my first major tithing goal was $250,000. That was my goal, is to give away $250,000. Well, in order to do that, what does the business have to do? It has to do 2.5 million. So I could still get my millions with taking and making my focus about benevolence. All right. And so, so that was the overarching gist. But in there, the biggest change that I had to make to get back to the $1 million mark, it wasn't strategy. It wasn't marketing and sales. It was leadership.
Yes. All day.
I had to become the CEO of my company, and the CEO it's not about everything. It's about executively presiding over your business. I had to stop working in my business so I could work on my business. And while I'm still the figurehead, if you will, of the business, I am not the sole solution provider.
I love it.
I create an environment to have an amazing team that supports me, that helps our clients to get tremendous results. And I can be present or I could not be present. And that was really important. And then the second thing that was important was deciding, like really, I have to keep using the word decide because Emerson says once you decide, all of the universe rearranges itself. And so really deciding that I could have $1 million business and I could have a man that I slept to every single night that loved me beyond myself. Because I had been told when I was out there in them streets the first time at the $1 million mark, and I'm on all these stages with all these men, they told me that I would never find a man who was going to be willing to walk behind my brilliance. And I believed them.
Come on.
And so what's happening right here in the 6 inches in between our ears is what prevents us from feeling 6 and 7 figures between our fingers. And so I had to decide that wasn't true. And in making a new decision, start showing up and doing the work that would be required for me to actually experience the manifestation of what God already told me, what God already told you. Like he's been telling us since the beginning that we will have access to the most, to more. Like there would be no question.
And that we have the power to get wealth.
Have the power to create it. Like I don't ever, and this, if I ever meet you and I hear you say out of your mouth, it's probably gonna get me in trouble, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If I ever hear you say out of your mouth, I can't afford that, I'm gonna punch you in your face. You can afford whatever you want. Like, I'm not really gonna punch you in your face, but I say that and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna say it because you're gonna punch me. I'm not really gonna punch you, but the point I'm trying to make is that you can afford whatever you want, whenever you want, because money is just an energy, and the money is really about the way you see yourself. And your ability to have more money is about the way you see yourself. So if you start seeing yourself the way God has always seen you, then money will just start falling.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. Because it doesn't have the power that we give it. And until we learn how to shift that power dynamic, that's why 2,300 times in the Bible, God talks about money. Because
because the Bible is a reflection. It is instruction for how we're supposed to live. So that's the topic that he wants us to get.
Yep.
Period. End of discussion. There's a couple of things we want to park on that you brought up because I think it's worth digging into. And I love that we ended up just going into the biblical anyway. I don't think you could help it. So there's just that.
I could try. but it's just gonna slip out. Like it really is.
So one of the things that you said, and it's a decision I had to make for myself as well, even at this level, is being willing to let it all go. It doesn't mean that it's going to go, but there's something about the detachment to what it means about you and releasing your ego around having it or not having it that opens you up to receive. So I see this all the time. People do their first 6-figure month and then they immediately go into panic 3 days later. How am I going to do this again?
Fluke syndrome is what I call it.
Yeah. And if you can just release that or be willing to let things crumble a little bit so you can stabilize and be okay with it. And that's an ego. That's an understanding that you are who God says you are, no matter what the circumstances look like. That does not.
And it can flip in a minute. Our God is the God of turning a little into a lot. Like, can we just for 2 seconds talk about the 2 fish and the 5 loaves? Like, for just 2 seconds. Like, it doesn't matter. But what happens when we surrender, when we release, is we actually gain access to everything. I got a million scriptures running through my head right now that I could pull out at you for those of you who like a good scripture to anchor onto. But the bottom line is, let it go. Like, just he who is willing to surrender is he who will encompass and experience all the things. Come on. And it's just the act. It's the willingness. Just like the Bible says, God loves a cheerful giver. It's the willingness to be able to let it go that opens you up to be able to get access to more.
So when I was talking about the law, activating the law of giving and receiving by doing my birthday bash, that's the thing. It's not the act of just giving. It is the intention and the heart behind how you do it that actually matters most. We don't give to get tit for tat. It's not letting it go begrudgingly because I have to do this in order to get this. We don't tithe because it's a law, because the law is gone. We have free will. Jesus died for that. You have a choice. I tithe because I get to. I tithe out of the abundance of my heart. That's the difference. It's that willingness. Surrender to me is not just about saying, God, I surrender to your will. It's letting go of everything, everyone that you thought you needed for whatever attachments you have to things. That's surrender. I'll go where you tell me to go. I'll say what you want me to say. I'll do what you want me to do. However it looks, I'm all in 100%. That's how you yield yourself and create space for everything to come in.
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the biggest things that I changed. Like, one of the things that I'll be teaching at Move to Millions, there's a session called the $1 Million Winning Formula. And I'm not going to steal the thunder of the session for those of you who are coming or who will decide to join us, but it ain't what you think it is all I'm going to say. Like, it is not everything. Like, yeah, we can all pick up our calculator and we can put $1 million in and divide it by 12 and learn that it's $83,333.33. We can all do that. And we can all back into that number further to be like, okay, well, if I got a $10,000 offer, then that means, and my client's paying full, all I need is 8 or 9 people to sign up every single month. Like, we can all do that. If it were that simple, the statistics would not be the statistics. Yeah, come on, not be the statistics.
We think the information is Googleable or that we need to sit on another course. And I think you mentioned this earlier when you were talking about Move to Millions, that this transformation allows you to go, it needs to happen from the inside. I talk about this all the time, and this is something that we also have in common when I talk about being a prototype.
Girl, that thing. I quoted you in my book, Move to Millions, because I'm like, when you said it, the way it just hit my spirit, I had never thought about it like that. But yeah, like I've said a lot, I'm the first, right? I'm the first millionaire in my family. Now my younger brother is becoming a millionaire too. Like, but I'm the first, but I'm also the prototype.
Yes.
And this morning when I was sitting in my prayer and reflection time, I was just talking to God and just reminding myself to detach from any outcome, especially as we get closer to the event. And what I heard in my spirit is, to whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it in every translation in the Bible, and I just sat. And for the first time, I think ever in my 47 years, because I'll be 48 this year too, though 1975. And the first time in my life, I received that scripture so differently. I no longer look at it as the obligation, like, or the almost the premonition that if you get more will be required of you. But instead, I started to realize that those of us who have gotten to the $1 million mark, the requirement is to take other people with us.
Come on. And it doesn't mean on your back.
And it doesn't mean on my, I was literally
say that, right? It's forging a path. It means I've got the machete in my hand and the heavy lifting has already been done.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is follow.
Absolutely.
And I'm willing, I get that I'm a path forger. I understand I'm the prototype. What that means is I may not always know exactly what the next step's going to be, but I'm the one that's going to figure it out. There may not always be an example of what God's trying to do in and through me in front of me, but I am so willing and surrendered in order to show up in a way that allows him to do the work that he needs to do, whatever that looks like. It may be up, it may be down, it may be look perfect at times or feel perfect at times, and at other times it may not be, but I'm willing to be on all of it. And a lot of you listening, you are prototypes. You are the prototype for your lineage and generations of your family. You're the prototype for your community. You're the prototype for yourself, your immediate family, like all kinds of places and spaces where you go first all the time.
Yeah. That's so good. Like I said, every time you say it, I'm just like.
The other thing that I wrote down, and I feel like these are codes. So one, be willing to lose it all. The year before I crossed $1 million, I was having this overwhelming fear. It was 2019. It was actually the beginning of 2020. And I couldn't see clearly. I knew I had a seed in my spirit. We had done about $500,000 the year before, that this will be my $1 million year. And I was almost afraid to say it out loud because what if I don't do it?
Yeah.
And so in a mastermind retreat, I was at a retreat for women leaders, and I was in a VIP session. And I just said, you know what, let me put this in the room. I just have this fear of like making this declaration. And what if I don't do it? Right. And the person looked at me and they said, you got to be willing to fail.
Yeah.
So what if you don't do it? You got to be willing to not do it. And so many things happened that came into alignment that year, but that ended up being the year that I let go of what it would mean for me to not do or do $1 million was the year I actually did it.
Can we talk about what else happened though? Because it wasn't just the surrender. So I like to use Mark 11, I think it starts at like 20 through 26 as a prototype for what I'm about to say. And so let me tell the Darnyelle version of the story. So Jesus and the disciples are heading to Bethany. Jesus sees the fig tree. He wants a fig Newton. But the fig tree ain't producing fig Newton. So he gets mad and he curses the tree and they keep walking. The next day they're walking back. The disciples see the dead fig tree first and they can't believe it. They're like, dude, look at that tree. Didn't Jesus just tell them that tree to die yesterday? So Jesus spins around and he says, verily, I say to you, you can say to any mountain, move, and it will move if you do these things. So say, to the point, I'm going to pull it apart. You said out loud in a safe space, unhindered, because you had detached from any and all outcomes. You said it because you have to say it first. And then you have to believe it. You have to not doubt it. And then you have to do your forgiveness work.
So
if you speak, believe, don't doubt, and forgive, you can tell any mountain to move. So the mountain of millions, the mountain of whatever the mountain is, it can move. See, what I love about God is that he's principled. He's so principled. Like, this is why, for those of you who are staunch, holy, or if I like poke you in the arm, you'll spit out tongues. Believers get caught up in the new age people who are secret and universe followers, and them experiencing what was created.
Correct. Yeah.
It's because they're working the principles and you're not.
Come on.
It's because the only time you're really opening your Bible is when you go to the building where 9 times out of 10, this is not absolute, and I know it's going to make people mad, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm a disruptor. The person who is leading you in that church doesn't understand the fullness of God. They are using the watered down, regurgitated version of religion and Christianity and God's word that was acceptable in slavery.
Yes, that was the thing.
No one has ever questioned any of that.
Nope. No.
And
we have to lineage upon lineage upon lineage.
The scriptures they regurgitate for you are the same ones that Massa let them have access to back in their little hut.
Oh, yeah.
Their floor.
Yes.
And that's what they preaching. They preaching the same thing. No one's getting a new revelation. That is not God. That is not his desire for you. And you do not have to struggle. That was the whole point of Jesus, people. That was the whole point. But anyway, I digress.
Listen.
I get a little worked up.
Here's the thing. You know, my business itself is not like for Christian people or women, but it's my birthday. And I wanted to show a whole version of who I am. I'm a God girl. I'm Bible thumping, tongue talking, shouting, that's me, right? I'm a worship leader.
Yeah.
And I get tired. Actually, let me say it a different way. I get tirade of seeing us, God-loving people, God-adoring people, not having the capacity to not only live through those principles that were left for us, that are meant for us, but not having the experience of them.
Right.
It breaks my heart to the soul.
And defending the lack with everything that they have because all they know is somebody taught them. Instead of going into the word and getting to know God for themselves. It burns my biscuits.
And so here's the thing, though. I feel like when you get this revelation, and you can say if this is true for you, it may not be. For me, I almost felt like it wasn't secret. It was just like, ooh, if the mothers find out that I'm looking at this way, they gonna talk kind of thing. And I've gotten to the point over the years where I just stand and I understand that when I'm sitting in a church, some of that ain't for me because I understand. But we've got to understand that is where a lot of, like you said, the secret and all of that stuff, there's Bible.
It's all Bible.
Every bit of it. Open your word.
Find all of it. Girl, I was so afraid to cheat on Jesus that I was like, I'm not watching The Secret. And then my friend was like, no, just watch it. So I'm like, making sure ain't no mothers looking. And I start turning that thing on and I was like, oh, that's scripture. Oh, yeah. I mean, it just, and that's when I started to create the separation from even Christianity. I know I make people mad when I say this, but I'm going to say this too. I say I subscribe to the doctrines of Christianity because I do believe in Jesus. But I am not for religion that boxes God in and makes it okay and acceptable. Because here's the thing. If we have the power, if we were created in his image and likeness in Genesis, how in the world do I need to keep coming to the church and every week I'm back on the altar for the same issue? Unless I'm part of a bondage system that actually gains if I stay in lack.
Now you're about to
undelivered. And so I can't get with that. And because I know better, I understand, like people are always like, you need to go teach is that church. They're not probably letting me come to the church. Because if I come, I'm gonna speak the truth. And that might not be okay. But I know that in my own forum, right? People, I get to, the Bible says wherever two or more are gathered, there he is in the midst. Like the importance of fellowship. I get to experience all of that whenever I'm surrounded by people. But it irks me because I believe that the promises, which are yes and amen, are not just for some, they're for all. And there are so many of us who are unwilling to question what we've been taught and instead of seeking it for ourselves. And so I want to tell this quick story. So the reason why I am this girl this day, because when I was 23 or 24 years old, I was engaged to be married. And 3 months before my wedding, my ex-fiance let me know that he got a trustee in our church pregnant. And the bottom fell out of my life. And I left the church. The pastor did not even apologize and acknowledge. And I have always been a tither. Since I learned the principle, I've always been a tither. So there was a good chunk of money coming up out of my situation into that building. And I didn't get so much as a I'm so sorry or anything. And so I left that particular church. I never left God. Here's what happened. It sent me head first into God. Because I needed to understand who God really was. Who I knew God to be prior to that was what my Aunt Ida, who was probably the first person to take me to church, taught me. And when my dad married my stepmom, her father was a pastor. What I learned there, and the occasional moments when I would blow the dust off of my Bible and ask people where Genesis was when I was sitting in the church, because I never opened it for myself. I only took what the person at the front of the building was saying as the law. But when that happened, I decided that I needed to understand God. I needed to understand spiritual principles. I needed to, you said unlocking millions. I needed to unlock the code to experience everything that God sent his son for me to experience. And so I actually studied all the religions. And here's what I learned. I learned that they're all the same. The principles that run through all of them are the same. And so when I decided to do this work and to bring my God into my work, I decided to focus on the principles. That's why I can serve people who aren't Christian. That's why I don't have, and you won't see anything anywhere that says I work with Christians, because the Bible says, let that any man who. And so I want to teach any man who wants to learn the principles, how to leverage the principles so that they can unlock everything that it is that God ordained for them to experience before they were formed in their mother's womb, when he knew and approved them. And so that is why I now understand, because I didn't have the filter of what the pastor knew to teach me. I learned, I read, I dissected for myself and asked for interpretation and sat long enough for God to be able to speak to me, for me to understand exactly what it is that was being said.
Thank you for that. Something just came to my mind as you were talking about kingdom principles, and I just wrote down, guys, in chat, 3 codes. The first one, be willing to lose it all. Second one, it can look any way. We didn't really talk about that yet, but it can look any way you want it to look. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Your millions don't have to look like my millions, don't have to look like Darnyelle's millions. It gets to look, if you're like, I really want to do it, but I don't want to do it like this. Guess what? He can do it any way you desire.
Any way you desire.
And then the third one is honor the principles of wealth. And what I put in parentheses is it's all biblical. Understand, it's all rooted in Bible. Here's what came up for me as you were just talking right now, because we were both talking about marketing our business as kingdom businesses or to Christians. I help Christians. And there's a lot of that going on right now. I'm not seeing this. There's this conversation that's being had publicly that I'm not seeing because I'm not connected with these people. But I'm connected with the people who are experiencing the conversation. And just this week alone, I have seen several posts of like, what is this thing going on with people now shifting, especially a lot of influencers shifting to kingdom marketing or talking about God and the work. And so first and foremost, let me say they might have really had an encounter with God. And when you first get excited, you want to tell everybody about it and you can't shut up. And like, you just learn something new and it just gets crazy. So it could be that, right? However, I also want to warn is not the word.
I think warn is a good word.
Okay. We'll use me. Because I know for a fact that there are those who are marketing using the words kingdom or telling you that they work with Christians or church-going people to show them how to build their businesses. And that is not who they are.
They're pimping Jesus. That's what I call it.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are. And
like your imaginary pearls. I saw you.
Collecting my pearls. They're pimping Jesus. And it's because they see a ripe and ready market. There are also those who just want to manipulate you because they know you're part of a system that tends to manipulate you. Ouch. Right. Amen. Ouch. Choose your word. And so they're like, oh, I can do that too. There are literal large companies that go study mega churches and then move that the way mega churches work into their business model. Absolutely. So that they can control you.
Yep. I
ain't naming no names, but it is a fact, right? And all I would like to say is, especially Black Christians, like we have been manipulated a lot throughout time and controlled It started in slavery. The Bible was used to control us. And if you don't break free from that, we have the memory of that. We have a cellular memory of it.
In our body.
You are susceptible to it if you're not aware. And so I just want you to be discerning of the fruit. Look at the fruit. Look at the fruit. Because seeds produce fruit. So look at the fruit. Know what the fruit of real biblical sound teaching and doctrine looks like and feels like, and it doesn't look like lack, and it doesn't feel like hurt and
or
stress,
manipulation,
all of that thing.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like, there's a wealth transfer underway. God has been very clear. I am a prophet. He speaks to me. I hear him clearly saying that entrepreneurship is the vehicle that is created to reestablish.
I'm tired of you and me, because my theme for Game On Live this year is the wealth transfer.
Yes, listen. So, like, it is underway right now, and if you're paying attention, you will see it.
Yes,
there is a restoration that is happening. God has asked for restoration to his children, that everything that he spoke over you before you were formed in your mother's womb, that knowing and approval process, that's what set your abundance in place. Before your mom pushed you out or they pulled you out, you were abundance. And then you were introduced to lack. God said it's time to return to the abundance. And so that is what's happening right now. And that's the whiff that these companies are getting that are now jumping on that bandwagon. Because as Shameca just said, unfortunately, it's tight, but it's right. Like, Christians are very susceptible because by and large, I've been to other countries and I look at how other religions are true and practice their religion. And anyway, I'm not going to take us down that tangent, but there is a lot. And so learning and discernment is essential. It is a learning. And here's what I always tell people. Whenever you feel something in your body, listen to what your body is, because your body holds all the clues. God is so amazing that when he created you, he actually made you a computer. Your body is your CPU. And if you are in tune, this is why alignment is so important. If you're in alignment, then you won't fall for the okie doke. Just because they know scriptures, right? Like, Lucifer was an angel first. He knows scripture too. And so it has to be more than that. And the only way it gets to be more is if you study to show yourself approved, if you build a relationship with God. And in building that relationship, you get to start seeing yourself the way he has always seen you. Because if you see yourself the way that God sees you, then all of the things will begin to change. And that's what Move to Millions is all about. That's what I know your work is all about. That's why we vibe so much, because we are too in the vineyard creating an environment for more people to get access to what has been ours from the beginning. And so this wealth transfer that is underway, like, grab a hold to it and figure out what you need to know and how you need to act and move, using the word move on purpose, because we got to take action in order to take your rightful place. Because I was literally you need to stop. Stop it. I was literally just about to say, because it is already over. Already.
So this happens with us a lot. Like, and you know what I believe? I don't believe that God gives a single message to a single messenger when it is meant for the masses to get it.
That's right.
And so I feel like what happens is, because we are in tune to the same God, and we are hearing this is what is required for our people to get, for his people to get what's already theirs. It's yours already. You talked about speaking it. This isn't a name it, claim it, blab it, and grab it. So I see some of y'all falling on the floor asking for ushers and all that stuff. That's cute. Okay? It's cute. And I'm with you. I feel it. And there's a decision that needs to be made. I believe the quote that you were speaking of earlier, this isn't biblical, but it goes something like, until there is a decision, there is a hesitance, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Right? Yeah. Concerning all manner of coincidences, right? When you truly decide a thing, everything, heaven and earth moves to create. Because Jesus died on the cross, There is no more law. You are at choice and have free will. You must decide. It's not just going to come because you sit in the church.
No, you got to give God something to bless.
You must decide and then show up in alignment with that decision.
That's right.
So many of us do not. We say that we want to have the abundance that the kingdom principles say that we can have. And every time we show up in lack, we show up with, even me, Lord. Like, little old me, just bless me if I could just get some crumbs from the master's table. And there's an instance where crumbs can do, but there is a transfer of wealth that is happening on the planet right now. And I thought about this. I've been speaking this for the last couple of weeks, Darnyelle. The biggest part of the wealth transfer, I believe, started happening in 2020.
Yep.
And so when I look at what I received from that, now I have an understanding. I'm like, okay, that was my first $1 million year, something I had been dreaming about my entire life. And I only got a fraction of it. And I'm like, how can I enlarge my territory? Yeah. How can I expand my capacity to really live into all that God has for me so that I can be the influencer and the impactor of not just my lifetime here on the planet? What am I leaving in legacy for others to be able to continue to grab what is divinely appointed for them? The truth is, some of you under the sound of our voices right now will leave this earth never claiming what's rightfully yours.
Saying the truth.
And you have a choice.
Yeah. And you're going to have to let fear go. Like, fear is what's stopping you. But there's a reason why 365 times in the Bible, God says, fear not. One for every day. So that there's never any fear. And fear is going to happen because it's your ego trying to keep you safe. But you are to experience the fear, acknowledge the fear, and do that which you must do in spite of the fear. It was October the 22nd, 2020, Shameca, when God gave me Move to Millions. And it was at that time that he started to download the wealth transfer. And so that's why I was like, yeah, you're right. It was 2020. And the biggest thing that is keeping us from experiencing this wealth and this abundance is the fear. But you got to remember that fear fights every alternative to reality. And if you just acknowledge it, because it's going to happen, your ego wants to keep you safe. Your ego has no idea. When you think about the 1 Corinthians 2:9 scripture, your eyes haven't seen, your ears haven't heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man what God has for those who love. Your ego can't grasp that. And so it's presented with all of this possibility and it shrinks back. And so it's just trying to keep you safe. But what I want you to start thinking when you see fear is that fear is an indication that your next level is present. So I want you to start to get excited when you feel fear, because that means you are on the verge of something absolutely incredible coming into your life experience if you're willing to move in the direction of that which you fear. That's how we transfer wealth. Just like move requires action, a transfer requires action. And so we have to look boldly in the face, the things that are threatening to derail our destiny, and instead call out what it is that we desire and step over that fear and begin to walk into what it is that we want.
So good. I know it's an oxymoron to think that fear is a sign that you're moving in the right direction, because fear feels like it's an indication that I should retreat. It's how our bodies are wired. But because we're wired for safety, and God developed this mechanism, so he knew what he was doing. You are wholly created by him. Right? Because we are designed in this way, what it is actually an indication of in most, if you're safe, right? If you're safe, the indicator is that you're moving towards something unknown or different. So the body activates to say, wait, we don't know what's on the other side. And most people give in to that feeling.
Yeah.
They don't learn how to move through the feeling of fear, not the reality of fear, the feeling of fear to get to the promised land.
Yeah. Well, those of you who are coming to Move to Millions Live are going to learn how to move through the feeling of fear. We're going to talk about where it lays in your body and how to move it out of there. We're going to dismantle these beliefs radically, because it's what is required for you to walk into what it is that is next and best for you.
So I can sit here and talk to you all day. Sometimes we do talk for hours.
Sweet here.
But I didn't mean to put that up. I want to just bring us home. And like, I wanted to talk about like speaking things, but I'm not even going to go there. I talked about it a little bit yesterday in my video about the power of your voice, aligning that, because I'm here with people who are believers now, who are likely watching this, with the fact that God spoke the world into existence. So everything that came into existence was vibration, right? Your voice is one of the most powerful creation tools on the planet. And if I add a little more to that, your voice is one of the most powerful income creation tools.
Yeah.
Ever to exist. So guard your tongue, not in a way like, oops, I don't want to say that thing, but be meticulous and intentional about how you speak about what you are creating.
Yeah.
As opposed to just letting all kinds of words flow out of your mouth.
Yeah, I call them casual covenants.
Yes.
If let there be creates a covenant to establish it in the earth realm, then we have to be careful what we let be. And it's always going to start with what we speak. Remember, I give you the formula. Speak, believe, don't doubt, forgive. We speak it first. That's the power of creation. And so do your best to remember that anything that follows I am will hunt you down and overtake you. And I am is summoning God's presence. He told Moses, tell them I am that I am sent you. And so every time we say I am, we are either summoning or shunning God based on what follows that I am. And so we have to be very clear, because God doesn't want his name caught up with no man. For those of you who have ever spoken, and I have too, I am broke. God is broke. Well, here's how you can know if you're in alignment really quickly. Make an I am statement and change I am to God is. If it no longer makes sense, you're out of alignment.
I love it.
The fastest way.
Beautiful. So I want to do one more invitation to them for Move to Millions, because that event is coming up this month. And if you're in the feeling of this right now, it's an opportunity for you to step into right now, coming into alignment with God's word over your life, his declarations over your life, his instructions for your life, and what you say you desire to create for your life. And so can you share with them, there's a link, I'll come back around again and type it in a few places, but there's a link to connect with, can you share really quickly the dates, the location, and just a little bit about what Move to Millions is about?
Yeah, so Move to Millions Live is happening May 24th through the 26th in Herndon, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. It is the movement, mission, and mantle that God gave me October the 22nd, 2020. He said 3 words to me as I was at my last day of my event that year. He said, move to millions. And he went on to further download what that meant. And so we've created a safe space, a space for transformation and disruption that will allow millions-minded entrepreneurs and CEOs to come and learn what they need to know to continue to sustain. Shameca alluded to it earlier. The statistics say that 78% of businesses that cross the 7-figure mark do not repeat it. So for those of you who have already done $1 million and you want to get back there or sustain, this is a safe space for you. For those of you who have millions on your mind and you have no clue why what you're doing right now hasn't lined up to millions, I will tell you that you have $1 million company right now, and there are just some things that are not right that need to be adjusted. And guess what? We're going to be adjusting all of that in the room. So 3 amazing, powerful days, a highly experiential, spiritual environment to break those curses and to set you on a trajectory to make, move, and leave millions. The principles, the assets, and the legacy, because I do believe that millions are your birthright. And I am very clear that to access them, you need only move. Move is an acronym that stands for mastery, operational obedience, vision, and execution. And so we're going to go through what it looks like to set those things up inside of your life experience so that your business benefits, right? And to create an environment where you get to truly walk into the birthright that God has established for you. It will be the most beautiful environment you've ever been in because I treat you like you're already $1 million CEO because you are. And I teach you from that vision point so I can get you to rise up because that is going to raise your vibration and that is going to help you to manifest what you desire so much faster. Just being in the energy, we have people last year, we had a person who closed $350,000 while they were sitting in the room just from being in the vibrational vortex of what God was doing. Because this is holy ground. Like my team and I, we consecrate that room before we get the party started. And everything that we do is decent and in order and done in excellence and done like you are the child of the King. And it's not churchy, but I promise you, your spirit will leap, it will soar, and who you are will be completely different. The only thing that will be the same is your name when it's all said and done.
One of the things I was thinking about sharing, especially since we're having this conversation with our fellow lovers of God and Jesus and kingdom principles, is that for me, when I'm inviting people to this event who I know that is the stance that they take and the position that they occupy in life, that this is probably one of the only atmospheres that you'll be in where you are going to be surrounded by people who believe what you believe, yet are operating on a level of wealth and abundance that you've yet to experience. And so it's a place for you to plug in with like-minded people, because I go in rooms all the time and there's not a lot of believers in the room. I'm the only one, and there's all kinds of beliefs and systems, and I'm going to grab the information so I can bring it back. This is a space for you. This is a space where you are wholly understood, accepted, but not churchy. So that's the caveat that she gave. And so I want to just invite you. I'm going to be in the room. I'm going to be speaking to Darnyelle's VIPs and probably hanging out throughout the event, doing other stuff as well. I'll be there to serve.
Yeah, very much well the agenda. Don't worry about it.
But come meet us there. Come hang with us. There's a link in the chat. I'll put it up again. And then I want to wrap you guys back around just to the opportunity. So if you're not going to go to Move to Millions and that's not in the cards for you this year or this time around, and even if it is, join me in activating the law of giving and receiving in your life for my birthday.
Yeah.
This is a gift I'm giving to you, the gift of an opportunity to give, to link arms, and be a part of a greater vision for giving, which we're looking to raise $10,000. $48 is all you need to start. So $48 gets you everything in the package. If you decide to donate $222 or more, you get some additional bonuses on top of that. So I'll unlock an additional one of my courses for you for doing that and for partnering in such a big way, just so that I can say thank you out of the abundance of my heart. And so partnering with me to do this. There was a time in my life where I just only fathomed that I could do a fundraiser and raise X amount of dollars. And we've been able to raise tens of thousands of dollars at my event every year. It still blows my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
100% of the proceeds are going to go to charity, to Knock Knock Angels. You can read about it on the page. I am matching dollar for dollar up to $5,000 every dollar that we raise for the charity, because I can. If you go to the link above the video, bit.ly/unlock millions is where you go to access that. So get in where you fit in, do all the things, but put a line in this, make a declaration. Darnyelle, a couple of things for you. First thing is I wanted to say that October 2020 was the year I crossed $1 million, was the month I crossed $1 million.
Oh, I just got chills.
I'm going to go look at the date right now. I'm like, let me see what date it was. So yeah, that's interesting to me. And I just want to say thank you for who you are in the world.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for who you are in the world. And thank you that you embraced me and we can be building this amazing friendship and sisterhood, and there is no competition. Like there's just none of that energy. We don't feel the need to posture up. Like I'm just so grateful that is who we get to be and that we get to be an example of what's possible for other people. I'm looking forward to doing life with you. Like you're amazing.
Thank you.
And it's your birthday.
It's my birthday! Oh, now. It's my birthday month. Y'all just gonna be sick of me because I'm gonna just be here. I'm gonna be out here doing all the things. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment, like right now.